In an age of looks maxing, botched plastic surgery, and deceptive filters, beauty standards can be considered in the gutter. From the ancient Egyptians to the Koreans, many modern skincare ingredients have been used for hundreds and thousands of years. While some pioneered it, the Victorian era and modern age offered toxic products that were detrimental to health. Today, I'll be diving into the earliest records of skincare and how it was revolutionized during the Islamic Golden Age. Then we'll take a trip to Europe to see what toxic stuff they were up to. And we'll end off on the deep history of Kbeauty and how it became the world's most trusted country when it comes to taking care of the skin. And for this video's charity, I will be donating $1 for every view, up to 500, to Sulala Animal Rescue, which is an animal rescue out in Palestine doing God's work by rescuing stray animals. I'll drop the link in the description. Now let's get to the video. So I know I mentioned ancient Egypt, and I'll get into that in a second, but I just want to preface before I dive into them that the earliest case of skincare was actually found to be from over 250,000 years ago with Neanderthals. Archaeologists have found lumps of red and yellow minerals, aka ochre, in caves that were clearly mixed with liquids to create paints which were then put on the face. And this can be considered skincare because these minerals acted as the first sunblock and insect repellent as well. It was functional beauty before the concept even existed, but this wasn't really documented though, unlike in ancient Egypt, which is the most sophisticated early system of skincare. In Egypt, skincare wasn't just about vanity, it was considered next to godliness. The first moisturizers were invented way back in 10,000 BCE. And Egyptians used things like beeswax, olive oil, and royal jelly to protect their skin from the brutal desert sun and the dry winds. They actually even came up with the first anti-aging cream and serum by using things like frankincense and myrrh to treat wrinkles and inflammation, as well as sour milk, which actually contains lactic acid for chemical exfoliation. Proof of all of this can be found in a papyrus dated around 1500 BC called the Ebers Papyrus, which is one of the oldest medical documents in existence. It contains specific recipes for curing wrinkles, spots, and skin infections. It's quite remarkable to consider that an ancient civilization used things that we may be using today thousands of years later. And this is a recurring theme you'll find in this video. For example, the next large advancement of skincare occurred during the Islamic Golden Age. While Europe was in the lead and vinegar era, the Islamic world was revolutionizing hygiene. Did you know that the first recipes for modern-day soap was invented during this time by a scholar named Al-Razi? And by modern-day soap, I mean something that's like a hard bar, which smells nice and is made of alkali, fats, and oils like olive oil. So by the 13th century, the manufacture of soap in the Middle East had become a major industry, with sources in Nablus, which is in present-day Palestine, Fez in present-day Morocco, Damascus and Aleppo, which are both in present-day Syria. They also perfected the distillation of rose water, which is still a skincare staple to this day. A physician in 11th century Baghdad named Ibn Jazla also wrote that rose water strengthened the gums and the stomach. It's believed to have originated in Persia, but the process of creating rose water through steam distillation was refined by both Arab and Persian chemists in the medieval Islamic world, which led to more efficient and economic uses for perfume industries. I actually read that today Iran still produces like 90% of the rosewater global supply. This is unlike the Romans who just slapped cow dung on their face. Islamic scholars actually treated skin as a medical organ, focusing on internal health and cleanliness. That being said, let's fast forward several hundred years to the Victorian era when things got a little toxic. You know that ghostly pale look that women had back then? Yeah, it wasn't just face paint. They actually used something called virgin milk, which was a mix of lead and benzoin. Not only that, but 19th century women ate arsenic, literal poison, to get that porcelain look. And how this worked was it destroyed red blood cells to make one look pale and delicate right up until the organs failed. Crazy, right? So, as you can see, toxic beautification is nothing new. And this didn't end in the Victorian era. After Marie Curie discovered radium in 1912, the skincare industry went wild. Though Radia was a French brand that literally sold radioactive face creams, mud masks, and pads. Their ads featured a woman lit from below by glowing rays. They promised it would energize the skin, which is insane. But do you see how the marketing machine can make you believe something totally deadly can make you look beautiful, quote unquote? And we see this today too, clearly. But the Koreans, who are the world leaders in modern day skincare, were never fooled by these gimmicks. So, for the final section, let's dive into the history of Korean skincare and how it became the powerhouse that it is today. Korean skincare, commonly known as Kbeauty, can be traced back to the Goryeo dynasty, which lasted from 918 to 1392 AD. Here's a quote from an Asia Society article. Quote, "In the Goryeo dynasty, elegance was highlighted as a key feature of beauty. Lighter makeup was used, and in line with the trend. More time was invested into people's skincare routines in hopes for a clearer skin tone." And this continued for hundreds of years, up until today. While Europe was poisoning itself, the 1809 Korean Women's Encyclopedia titled Gyuhap Cheongseo, written by Iping Hongak, was documenting sophisticated methods for using mung beans for cleansing and safflower oil. Here we have a culture that treated and still treats skincare as a branch of holistic health rather than just a cosmetic mask. And I believe that's why the world trusts Korea to provide quality skincare products today. They simply had a massive head start on this glass skin trend, right? But why has K-beauty only recently become world renowned? Well, in my opinion, it's multifaceted. While it's easy and maybe partially true to say that K-pop and K-dramas influence beauty standards with people wanting to look like the stars, the government also had an influence. After the 1997 financial crises, many soft exports like music, film, and beauty were actually subsidized. And by 2025, Korean cosmetic exports surged to over $10 billion, making South Korea the top global exporter with a market product of over 50%, beating out traditional giants like France and the US in submarkets. And for the first time in history, it has become the global gold standard. But they didn't just stumble into the spotlight, they legit spent years building the logistics to ship globally. But what I believe it ultimately comes down to is the philosophical differences between Western and Korean approaches to skincare. Growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I remember all of the skincare products had the goal of like covering up or fixing the skin with harsh acids, whereas the K-beauty view is focused on prevention and nourishment, a concept which I believe is called hanbang or hanbang. I'm sorry for butchering these words, but it's about hydration, gentle layering, and maintaining the skin barrier rather than nuking it with chemicals. And this is as opposed to the heavy creams sold in the West. K-beauty products are also often lightweight with watery layers. Instead of petroleum jelly and salicylic acid, Koreans use natural ingredients like snail mucin, centella, and rice water. Now, this is not a video to promote K-beauty. I just want you to take away from this video one thing, and it's that historically there have been two paths to achieving beauty. On the one hand, you can harm yourself and your skin and look like everyone else. On the other hand, you can nourish your skin and look good. Have a good week and stay blessed.